Alright, hey guys, it's James here. I'm going to do a session review of a game I just played actually. I've been trying to make videos all week and finally I've done one of a quality where you can actually see the cards. So hopefully you'll find this interesting. I was playing on Party Poker. It's not the best place to play against regs because they have no incentive to play you. And the rake is capped at $1, which is quite high. But it's the best place that I can get games, especially for a poker strategy site. So I just stuck with it and I managed to get action eventually. Yeah, this first guy I think played a few hands and then sat out. And then we got, I think, one more guy who sat out. But after that we have a match. The video should be about 30 minutes max, maybe 40. So let's see what happens. With the backdoor nut flush draw, early on I think I don't really like the idea of putting it into a check raise range, considering I don't know what he's c-betting with. I'm definitely calling one street, and then on this turn it could well be a call, but I prefer to make the fold. I don't really want to be too, I don't know what the word is, too stationary. I already get problems with being a station. So Ace-9 is generally part of my free bet range. I mean, not always, but I think it's a good solid hand. So that's the first red gone. Okay, so this is another guy. I think he barely played a hand, this guy. But 7-5. I'm calling almost any two against the min raise to begin with, except for the 7 deuce, the 3 deuce, 4 deuce. And that's pretty much it. I'm calling everything else. Yeah, I didn't bother even attempting to get a bluff in there with the 7-5 off. 8-4. We could make a play here, but I think I prefer just giving up to begin with. It's not that easy to rep anything. Although if he does call, there are lots of turns and rivers you can barrel. But I would prefer to know more about my opponent before I do that sort of stuff. It could get me in a lot of trouble, so we'll just leave it. We got an open-ended straight draw and a backdoor flush draw, not that high. But I really like just barreling here. It's very close to bet the river or not, because there are so many like 4x's, and so there are so many 4x's and 5x's that are calling on the turn but then would give up on the river. But there are also many ace highs that would have called on the flop and hit on the turn. Also 3x's has no reason to raise me. He's just giving away the strength of his hand, so it's definitely a close one. I think I would prefer a slight overbet, maybe 32 big blinds, 33 big blinds to start with, just to bring an image if we do get called. But oh, my video's disappeared. Hang on a second. Right, where were we? Yeah, I think a slight overbet is the play to make. But touch checking isn't that bad, and it looks like it saved us some money, because I really doubt that he's folding almost top two aces up. If he is, then it's an amazing bluff bet. But anyway, so sixes we're just trying to get to showdown. But when that river comes out, I think it's a very good idea to make a pot size bet. He had sevens there, but I think he's got a lot of 4x, 2x, and ace x, and I think he's definitely calling the 4x and the 2x. And he might just check with the ace x. Yeah, so lots of value in it. So with the 8-10, we can bet, but most of the time I check back. I'd say about 80% of the time I'm betting. We hit an open-ended straight draw as well as the middle pair. We get check to on the river. It's quite interesting that we're check to, because he almost definitely doesn't have a queen. He could have some 7x's, but I think most of them, there are not too many that are betting that turn unless they have something with it. Yeah, I think a lot of 7x's actually. You can have some 2 pairs, but we can. Yeah, I was going to say this is good value bet, but oh my god. Okay, let's try that again. Managed to hit me all tilted out. So yeah, I was gonna say I like the bet because I don't think there are too much better hands than us. But now looking over it, I think there are enough 7x's to not want to make this play. Especially as we don't know exactly how he plays just yet. If we know he's the sort of guy that's definitely betting a 7, then we can make this, but I think it's too thin for now. But I do make the bet and it folds. So there we go. Jack 6. This is defend. Like I said, I'm defending almost anything. Just the crap is going out. Definitely calling one street. This is really good for our range this turn. I like a little donk betting at some sort of size. I used to bet quite a bit smaller on those kind of textures, but I noticed that when I do have the turn trips, I can't get enough money into the pot, so I prefer a bigger bet. It seems to get a very decent amount of respect. And if they do decide to not believe me, then I can get a lot more money into the pot, which is decent. King 6 suited, I could 4-bet here, I could call, I could fold. It's a bit early in the game, I don't know much about his 3-bet range, so I don't think there's any bad play pre-flop. On that flop, I think I'll give it up because I don't even have a backdoor flush draw. If I did, then I'm definitely peeling or raising. Most of the time just calling the flop, but I think at least some of the time I need to be raising there. 4-9, nearly always checking back here, and we hit the trips, so make a nice bet. You can see in the background I'm trying to get a hold'em manager to work. Sometimes it's a bit of a nightmare to get running, but yeah, just betting twice. I think the bet size generally should be over pot because I'm repping quite a narrow range, but I'm making an exploitative play in this spot because I think I'm just going to get so many faults that I may as well start smaller bet. I think it's a very good spot to double barrel with airballs because you just get so much respect for it when you shouldn't really, because your range is really tiny. Um, 2-5. Definitely check calling. You could check raise, but I nearly always check call. Turn brings the flush draw. If I get bet here, I think there's a huge portion of his range is double barreling, and that quite a lot of it has decent equity against my 5, but is quite trashy, like Queen Jack, Jack 10, Queen 10, possibly even Ace Highs, 8-6, all sorts of hands that have lots of live outs against me. So I prefer check. I think check raising is a fine play to make, and bombing almost any river. Yeah, I don't really see a river that I'm not bombing, to be honest. I think they just like a general reg is just barreling so much there, and I'm going to, by the river, I'm going to get a lot of things to fold. I might even get some King X's to fold, so that's great. And we hit the flush. I know that my only option is to overbet jam. I mean, I wanted to make it smaller, but I think like because I would be overbetting jamming nearly every river, I should do it when I hit. So I wanted to make an exploitative play, but I don't think it's a good idea. 2-8. I mean, I could pop the flop, but I decided to just check back and hit, and we get potted into. I think we should look him up to start with, see how light is doing it, and then we can figure out whether we want to turn those sort of hands into bluffs and whatnot. So I had 7-10. We don't get much information from that, other than he didn't bet the turn with the 10, which I think that's pretty standard. So this texture, he checks back on a monotone flop, and when a card higher than an 8 comes out, I'm almost betting any 2, because I think I can get so much of his range off by the river, and unless the river comes an 8, maybe a 6. Might not bet a 6, but yeah, every other river I'm just betting pot on the turn and the river, because his range is undeniably capped this early on. He doesn't know how much I'm bombing, so we should be able to get a lot of folds. And he leaves, so we found another guy. I think this is, let's have a look. I think this is the one for the rest of the video. No, maybe not. Anyway, ace king flop. I think just bet big and not $72 big, but yeah, somewhere near the pot size. And if a spade rolls out, or a 10 rolls out, not so much a queen, but if a 10 rolls out, or a spade, then we can carry on. Pick up a flush draw. I think I'm just double popping here, because I think we can get ace highs and king highs to fold when they shouldn't be. But when the ace comes out, I don't think it's a good idea, considering a large portion of his range is ace high. But yeah, I like to start in them sort of spots being quite aggressive, because generally you get given benefit of the doubt early on. So yeah, this guy, fine, I think is the one where we actually get some action. So should be the rest of the video with him. Pick up bottom pair. I'd say again about 80% of the time I'm checking it back. When the 6 comes out, I like to be repping quite a strong hand some of the time, but we can check it back as well. I think it's quite a nice spot to be protecting, because it's very rare for him to be able to check raise me in that spot. He's often got ace high or king high trying to get to showdown that I'm ahead of, so I like to bet there. This spot we just check called flop, turn has paired the top pair. Oh no, wait, let's go back. I need to go back. Okay, no, so he checked back the flop, so I think we can try and rep that queen. Then we ping the 6. It's not an amazingly strong hand, but I think his range is very much capped to 5x and 3x. I mean, sometimes he's got 7s, 8s, 9s, but I think most of it is 5x, 3x, and ace-x. So I prefer to just keep potting, repping a queen. Therefore, he can't. I don't think he's going to be wanting to turn his any hands into bluffs. So yeah, could bet slightly smaller than pot, but I like the pot bet. It just makes it seem more like I've got nuts to rare. If I was against a competent player, I'd have to remember that I've just pot bet thin value in a spot like that, because then I could be facing a lot of problems in those spots. But I really don't think that many people at this limit are gonna take advantage of that, so I don't need to worry at all. Queen deuce, I think I should be calling any queen here, because I don't think he's betting the 5 and often enough. If he checks back a king on this board type, so let's go back. It's a peg board, pretty dry. I mean, it's got the flush draw, but that's it. If he's checking back here, then generally his C bets are going to be so full of crap that I can really play against them. So that's something to be aware of. It's something that a lot of regs seem to be doing, and then they are getting all sorts of problems when I check raise them. So I mean, that's just far too strong a hand to be checking back. So 8-10 on a drawing board. I think I like big bets. Most turns I'm betting big as well. I'm doing the same with anything 9 good kicker and better. So 6-9, just to check call. I don't see any other reason for a play. Again, I would check call here, and I do. Good. I don't like this spot as much because I think he's got an ace very often. I check back again, and we get popped into. I think I like starting off by making a big bet here, because if it does turn out that he has a king, then I'll be very surprised that he bet the ace turn if he's checking on the flop. I don't think he would call an ace just yet. He seems a bit too weak. I mean, he should be calling out the ace very easily, but I don't think he would. Yeah, I think I might have made a mistake there, but check folding is fine as well. I don't think check calling is a good idea at all, because he almost definitely has an ace there, in my opinion. Yeah, double barrel, opening straight flush draw. Queen Jack. Free bet sometimes, call sometimes, so we free bet here. Get a call. I don't think it's good enough to try and get the showdown. King Queen we can try, but Queen Jack I think is not good enough. We hit the Jack, I think. Just check. Probably call, unless an odd bet size is made. And on the river, I think I bet small, yeah. I don't think he's going to attack it very often, so I mean he should be, but I don't think he will. If he has a 10, he's going to be just calling it. If he has a 6, I think he's probably just going to either side call or fold, whereas I think he should be turning a lot of them into bluffs, but he won't. Even though I'm 7 hands in it, I feel like I know how this guy will be playing. 10-7, I just give up. Based on tendencies of what I've seen so far. Queen 6. Yeah, so far this guy's been quite tight, not betting much, even checking back top pair with a kicker on the flop. So this is a spot where I should be much more wary about what he's checking back here, but still I think the open-ended straight draw is well worth betting. We did slightly overpot to set up a bigger bet if we do hit, because I don't think he's folding that often if he does call the turn, because I think he's almost definitely got an 8x or a rare Jack X. Any 8's a straight. I could rep it, but I don't see the point. I've got showdown value. May as well just get to showdown. I think there's more value in betting there with any two hand that doesn't have much showdown value, because I just think very rarely has an 8x, and after two bets he's almost giving up everything apart from top two pairs. I think he might even be giving up smaller two pairs. So we managed to flop an ace. I think just betting relatively decent size. Well, this river is kind of close because 5-4 got there, and there are 3 cards lower than the 8 to make ace pairs, 2 pairs. So I think ace 10 plus I would continue on the river. I think ace 8 is a little bit too weak. Yeah, unless I know more about the guy. So if I'm playing a fish or recreational player, if they are check raising whenever they hit top 2 pair plus, then obviously you can make these sorts of value bets. But against a reg who knows that it's hard for him to rep too much by check raising at any point with his 2 pairs, he just wants me to put in value because he knows I'm going to be barreling a lot with bluffs. I think ace 10 plus I would bet here. So do make the check. And I could have got some value, it looks like, but I don't. 5s, I'm nearly always just flatting there. If they're 4-betting a lot and we're shallower stacks, then I might consider 3-bet, 5-betting, but it's very rare. So, and on that flop, I really don't like playing anything other than check fold. I think we're getting barreled off a lot. It's just dead money, I think. Jack 5 is like one of the worst hands I'm opening. Almost always checking the flop. An easy call on the turn. And he makes a double overbet, double pot overbet on the river. It doesn't really rep very much at all. He's repping a king. Or fours or threes. But considering how passive he has been so far, I don't think I'm calling anything worse than a king here. It's a very exploitative play on my part, but it's because I think he knows that it looks like he's repping nothing, or a very small portion. I really don't think he would be bluffing here very often. So yeah, I think I made the fold. I'm fairly sure. Yeah, I'd really. There are a lot of people I would happily call off there, but not this guy. Especially recreational players who don't know how to rep hands. But I think this guy knows. I presume I would hero too light. I think I'm nearly always potting here. And the river misses both flush draws. And I think I'd get heroed too widely here, really. I think 7x's are just going to hero almost just because 2 flush draws missed. So yeah, if I do bet on these sorts of rivers, it's nearly always for value, or because I know his range is so weak. But we already seen him check back top pair, decent kicker, so he could have the queen x's, which is almost definitely getting called. Yeah, I think it's close, but I prefer just giving up because I think I'm getting looked up. And he has ace-10, so I almost definitely would have got it through, but what can you do? 9-3 is a bit too weak to play at the moment. 10-7, I think. I'm just giving up. The 5 doesn't change much for me. I'm not attempting to win the pot. Let me just give up. Queen Jack. I think it's good. It's all right to go try and get to showdown because we're in position. Yeah, even on that turn, I think we just checking down, and we get lucky, and he's got slightly worse hand than us. I think if we bet into at any point, I'm probably folding, but we got backdoor flush draw here, so some of the time I would be betting. I'd say about 70% of the time I'm checking. We call with our gut shot and overcard. If I'm making this sort of call, I have to be making plays a lot. So if he bets into me on a spade river, I'm gonna make a play, and I think I should be making plays on other boards as well. yeah, if any of the if it's 7 or 9 pairs, or if um, a spade comes out, then I would be making a play if betting to. So, and on the 8, um, actually on the 8, um, we could raise here, but I don't like it because I think most of the time he's only going to call with a straight or better, especially as he's pot matched. And if he decides his hand is no good, or he has a 10 in his hand or a jack in his hand, he might decide to re-raise me because my range is quite capped. I think most of my jack 10s, all of my jack 10s would be bet on the flop. There's also 10, 10, 6. 10, 6 I could have some, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that likely this guy is going to make a play, but I just don't like it because my range is quite capped. I don't see much value in raising, so I think just a flat call. If I'm playing a better reg, then it's definitely just a flat call because they could easily turn even 2 pairs into bluffs. So he's got the king 5, 2 pair. I think this guy's probably going to fold it if I did raise, unless I made it tiny raise. We managed to hit quite hard on this board. And I think we just pop pot. I don't think he's got too many ace-x's, only the lower ones. This 10 is quite bad, but I'm betting here a lot, so I may as well bet with the decent hands. I mean, it's quite bad for me because I don't think he'll call us that much, but I need to have value in my range there, so I guess it will do. A 5-7. I don't see anything other than a check call. This turn, I think he's the type of guy that's always checking an 8 and an ace back. On the flop, he's checking back an ace, so it's very rare for him to have ace-x. And when he has an 8, he's going to check it back on the turn very often. So if he did bet, I think I can peel off again or turn my hand into a bluff. I think I prefer just peeling off because if the guy has a club, he could call again, and I don't really want to be barreling the river, even though I have to be. But yeah, I think just calling is easier. But he doesn't bet, and I presume my hand is dead, but I can't do much about it, and I end up winning, so that's quite nice. What did he have? Jack 10. So yeah, I think he should be barreling that, but he didn't, so happy days. Even if he didn't barrel, I think he should be betting the river, so that's nice. 4-7, I think betting polarized free bets against this guy is a good idea. So looks like that's what we do. And he's defending hardly anything, 50%. So I've gone from 2.5xing to just 2xing, just trying to get the dead money from the big blind. Yeah, and if you noticed on my HUD, I just reset it underneath for this session so that I can check later, slightly later in the match, if he is adjusting or not. So now it will only show the parts where I've been min raised. So I check back the top pair here. The board's quite drawy, so it's a pain if I get check raised. I think I should be betting here maybe 30% of the time, but I probably check more often than that. Turn is a flush draw and he checks to me and I lead out. I don't really rep the 9 very well, so if he did raise then I'm just cooling down a lot, but yeah, I think it's very often he's checking a 4x and a 5x, they're cooling one street and then giving up, so I'm going to try and get free showdown, and then if I do hit a flush, I've built the pot, so it's quite nice. So I think my strategy now should be to min raise any two because he's being really tight. And then on boards like this, just give up completely. It smashes his range, so I just give it up. Most of my value is coming from getting the blind pre-flop quite easily, so. And he makes his first free bet when I've got ace king, so we're looking to 4-bet and cool off if he jams, but we're not the happiest if he jams, but we're only 40 hands in, and I don't see why I shouldn't be playing ace king this way yet. And we have the same hand, so 6 deuce. I think it might be worth free betting the absolute crap now because he's just been folding to my free bets. So basically playing any two and the worst portion of my range free betting. Yeah, I would like to make that adjustment next time. The 5-6, I think just check down is fine. So he makes a c-bet on a paired board. From earlier we saw that he checked back on a king 9-9 board. No, it was a king XX board and the other part was paired, and he checked back king 9, which means that his c-bet range on these sorts of boards is probably filled with crap and the trips. So I like to be attacking it early on. Generally my plan is to check raise and then bet pretty much any turn. Yeah, pretty much any turn. unless it pairs the other pair. But it's a very exploitative play, but if he's not c-betting in that spot, then it's quite easy to do, I think. It's quite a drawy board, so bet big. I don't really like checking back here at all. Now he hits straight. I definitely like betting. I'm not too worried about much. But he makes a big re-raise, and I just don't think that he's bluffing here. He might have occasional ace of clubs, but I really think that he isn't bluffing. So I think I should just make the fold. It's a really exploitable fold, but I think this guy is the sort of guy that can be exploited in this way. So yeah, I think I made the fold, and should be the end of the video, I think. Yeah, against an unknown, I think I have to call the turn and in almost any non-club river. Yeah, I think any non-club river I should be calling, but seeing how he's been playing so far, I think he's really heavily. Yeah, I think he's got a flush, just simple as. So I don't think he has a bluff range. Maybe a few combinations of ace-x, but I don't even know about that. So yeah, all right. I think that's it. So thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, I'll make another video soon. See ya.